Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with another edition of Move into the Magic. And you know how I always say, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Well, that is very apropos with my guest today. Some of you recognize Annella Metoyer. She has been my guest several times, and her wonderful book, Dare to Be the Change, is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. I have invited her back yet again to talk about something that I see all the time with my clients. I bet you see it too. We experience it ourselves until we don't. And because when I say we don't, that's why I invited her back. Annella, first of all, is a performance improvement coach. She is an advisor to many, many people and talks about many different subjects to help people achieve great goals. And I think one of the greatest goals, one of the greatest blocks that we have, and therefore one of our greatest goals, is to overcome fear. Now, just the word fear instills fear. Oh my God. This is something that is simply blocking us. We have fear of many things, a fear of not being liked, fear of being rejected, fear of not looking pretty, fear of, you name it, we got it. And it is so, when you know how to get beyond it, it's incredible. A lot of people are called heroes. They're told that they are courageous. To me, the definition of courage is acting even in the presence of fear, doing what needs to be done, and in the presence of fear, and thereby overcoming it. So today, Annella has agreed to talk to us about overcoming fear. Annella, welcome to Move into the Magic.
Thank you, Maxine, and love that you've invited me to come back and have a conversation about a topic that a lot of people don't feel real comfortable talking about, and that's that four-letter word, fear. I know that you mentioned in the opening that you see it in a lot of your clients, and I see it a lot in my clients as well. I would say that 90% of my clients talk about fear in either the first or the conversation that I have with them. And it's the conversation of fear of, am I going to be promoted? Am I going to lose my job? It's the things that worry individuals. But what is really interesting for me is that when I bring up the word fear, people, it looks almost like a crawfish that kind of rears back. It's that uncomfortable feeling of that conversation. People are more open to talk to you about stress. And how do I know that? So when I started having more conversation about fear, and it was after my book was published, Dare to Be the Change, there was a conversation with a young lady who read the book and said, Annella, your book is a lot about overcoming fears. And, you know, I hadn't really thought about it in the word of fear, because I always saw it as I was just overcoming adversities, but I never really saw myself in the fear space. So I thought, well, you know, I need to do some research on this so that I can fully understand how people react to that word fear. So I decided I was going to talk to anybody that would talk to me. And I started with family and friends having conversation about fear. I moved to individuals in the workplace, some of my clients. And what was even more interesting is I started talking to people in the grocery store. So it was interesting because I stopped the young lady in the grocery store, as I did with many individuals. And I shared with this individual who I had not seen in years. And I said, you know, I'm doing some research on the word fear. And she looked at me and she said, why would you do that? Because I don't see you as being fearful of anything. You're more fearless than anything else. Because so she said, so why would you want to do that? It's not a very pleasant subject. And I said, so are you fearful of anything? And she said, absolutely not. I'm not fearful of anything. I will charge in, get things done, etc. I said, that's real interesting. So I said, so let me just ask you, have you ever experienced some things that make you wonder why you are feeling in that space? So I said, you know, think about individuals that get hives. I said, I'll just use that, or shingles, or something that you see outward that came from within. And she said, you know, it's funny that you're saying that because I'm experiencing a fever blister right here. And she points to her fever blister. And I said, so what do you think is causing that? And she said, oh, it's stress. I got a new job and it's just really got me stressed out. And, you know, when I get stressed out, I get a fever blister. I said, really? So outwardly, you've got a fever blister and it's stress from the new job. What's causing that stress? She says, because I'm afraid I may get fired. I said, you're afraid that you might get fired? And the look on her face, she said, oh my goodness, I just said it. I am afraid. I have fear in my life. And I never looked at it that way. She said, so what is it that I can do, Annella, to really step away from being fearful? I said, so I know you have a wonderful partner as a husband. I know he's a great guy. I know him, and he is a true foundation for you. So what is it that you do to overcome that fear of losing your job? And she said, you know, I try not to worry about it. I have sleepless nights. She started telling me all the illness that she was having, worrying about losing her job. And it was all definitely encased in fear. I said, so let's talk about that for a minute. And we're still standing in the aisle of the grocery store having this conversation. Said, you know, when you think about this wonderful person who is your partner, your husband, what is it that you all do in your conversation that helps you feel that he is your foundation? She said, you know, I never really thought of him being foundation. I know we have a great partnership, but foundationally, yeah, he's always there for me. And we have lots of conversation. He tells me not to worry about it. And she went into his particular conversation that he has with her. And I said, I'm going to ask you to do something. I want you to go home. And I want you to tap into the power source, which is your foundation in your own family, in your own partnership with your husband. That is a power source that you tap into, and you're not realizing that it strengthens your foundation. she said, I never looked at a power source of someone or something that can help me overcome my fear. Said, so I'm going to challenge you to go home, have a conversation with your power source, and see how it makes you feel. See what it does for you. So we continued to have that conversation, and she assured me she would do that. I followed up with her, and in her tapping into her power source, which is truly overcoming fear, is tapping into that power source. She said, Annella, when I had my conversation with him and he outlined some things that I am doing to ensure that I don't lose my job, I saw myself calming down. I saw myself seeing that I was stronger than my own fear. And she said, it's almost, I could feel the fever blister healing because I could see the internal fear leaving. And I saw myself healing myself, which that does happen if you tap into your own power source. But one thing that I challenged her in, not only talking with her partner so that they could have a conversation and that she could see that that was a strong power source for her, I challenged her to go beyond that so that she could internalize that she is a power source. Her challenge, I wanted her to start mentoring or coaching another woman that is in her workplace or a family member. The reason I wanted her to do that is because I wanted her to see that she is truly stronger than fear. That if she is helping someone else, mentoring or coaching someone else, it would strengthen her own power. So she has agreed to do so, and I plan to have some additional conversation with her. But Maxine, I will tell you that fear really plays a strong space in women. And I know that women have, we've experienced some horrific situations throughout history, whether it was stoning or persecution, whatever the case may be, but it's truly caused us to pause before we take risks. But that risk comes at a price, because I was reading a study. It's the 2017 study of women in the workplace. And wow, to be someone that has been in the workplace for 40 years in the corporate world, this study it made me step back and say, okay, I've got to do more to help women in the workplace. So the study indicated that only 1 out of every 5 C-suite leader is a woman, and only 1 out of every 30 is a woman of color. So, I continued to read the study, and some of the reasons behind this is that women are less likely to ask for a raise, less likely to ask for a promotion, less likely to aspire to be in a top position. But some of that is also caused by the fact that women still today are still not comfortable in having that conversation with the senior leader on what is that process for advancement. It's that fear of, that position of a senior leader is here and I'm here possibly. It's the fear of, what do I say to that person? How do I approach that? But ultimately, the individual that is doing that, having the conversation with a senior leader, that is the perfect person to understand the process of advancement. So, you know, what is it that we can do to just really help women overcome their fear? And that is to help them really tap into their power source, because they are truly a power source. But a lot of women do not realize that.
And that's the truth. That's the truth. With my clients, I have seen and I've experienced myself, our culture, religion says that a woman is supposed to be subservient to her husband. And of course, the Bible was written by men, understandably. And so since time began, we have been the server, the nurturer. And I have a theory also. It goes back to the fact that the most important job in the whole wide world is being a mother. And that is a job that is looked down on by society very often, because she is not paid for what she does. And the reason she's not paid, and this is my opinion, is because there is not enough money in the world to pay her for what she does. She raises, nurtures another human being. And so it boils down to your net worth. And as long as the institutions, our businesses, our religions, put women in a subservient position or separate them from the men because they are the temptress and they have to be separated, all that stuff all those lies we were taught, that's going to continue. And years ago, I spoke to somebody, and you may have heard this. He said, the word fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. And I thought the answer, the solution then is truth. The truth is that women are powerful and can do more. We live longer than men. And one of the things that I have found is that when we give in to fear, the ego is tied into that. And so what I do if I experience fear, because I'll get into it, just going over the same thing over and over again. And when I see I'm doing that, I'm replaying the same thing, I'm giving it power. What I do is I just turn it over. Give it to the universe. Give it to source. Give it to spirit. That, because I know I'm protected. I know that that is the only solution, because I will be told what to do. And my mind comes in and says, yeah, but what about this? And what about that? And what about the other? And I just keep turning it over. And I reach a point where I'm okay. And that is my power.
Yeah, you've tapped into it. Truly, yes, absolutely.
Truly. And I know you probably have so many of your own stories, particularly in your book, that illustrate how you have absolutely overcome fear in so many situations. You had your father as a mentor. You have your husband. You have people who love you, who support you, but you had to do it alone.
Yeah.
You were on the firing line.
Yeah.
And of course, if we can instill the confidence in our children to overcome the cultural programming that we have carried. I mean, even now when we are so ahead of our moms and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, there's still that cultural imprinting. And if I remember correctly, you have addressed that in your next book. Is that correct?
Yes, I have. My grandson came over one day and he was telling me a story of him being bullied at school. And, so when he left, I wrote a short story about it. When he came back to see me, his next visit, I read the short story to him, but I didn't tell him it was about him. And he stood there and he said, you wrote a short story about what I shared with you the last time I was here. And I said, yes, and I really want to take your story and move it into a story to help kids in school understand that bullying is not the right thing to do. So he said, well, he calls me Nana. He says, Nana, could you maybe make the story about a boy and his dog? And I said, absolutely. So in about 30 days, my new book, Stronger Than Fear, will be coming out. It's a children's book, and it's the story of a little boy and his dog and how they overcame fear by standing up to bullies. And so it's a continuation of the dare to be the change, that you are that person that can stand on a foundation and become the power source to be the change. So I'm looking forward to taking this book, the first book that I will get printed. I'm going to definitely take it to the Barbara Bush Library and share it there, because she has such a love of books for kids. So my plan is to do that, but then to start making the rounds around school and just talking to the kids and reading the story about having them look within their own power and overcoming fear.
Oh, I just think that's so wonderful. You really are a change maker. You really are, Annella. And I'd love you to come back once the book is out.
Okay.
And read it to us.
Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Okay, then. You all heard it. I know that Annella has stirred up all kinds of ideas in your mind, all kinds of questions, and she is open to sharing her wisdom with you. You can contact her at AnnellaMetoyer.com. You'll find all kinds of information on her website. And I look forward to the next time you are with us. I can't wait to hear the stories that you share from the children.
Oh, I know it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're going to have a ball. So I'll be bringing her back for more information. You can get in touch with her at AnnellaMetoyer.com. And until we meet again, remember, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Bye for now, everybody.